This is a full story. Kitten wishes you all a happy and enjoyable story. When I saw Hailey again, she had become a partner of a high-level law firm. While I was holding my resume and applying for an intern lawyer under her, Senior Brother Rockey, how did you end up like this? She raised her hand and threw my resume into the trash can. Did you get retribution for being a scumbag too many times? I smiled and said nothing. Later, I found a fake marriage agreement in Hailey's car. Only then did I know that I wasn't the only one who couldn't forget the other person. I never thought that seeing Hailey again would be such an awkward and subtle scene. In the atmosphere where everyone looked at each other, I could only jokingly say, "Boss Hailey is joking. I have no money and no power. I can't afford the title of scumbag." She didn't speak. The conference room was so silent that one could hear the wind outside the window. Just when I thought there was no hope, Hailey twirled the pen in her hand again and again. "Is there a problem being an intern lawyer?" I looked at her in disbelief. "Boss Hailey, this doesn't seem like your style." After all, Hailey once found all the evidence to deal with the underwear thief in the girls' dormitory. She put the boy's photo together with the evidence on A4 paper, printed more than 500 copies, found the cleaning ant, and distributed them for 3 whole days. Hailey seemed as if she didn't hear what I said. She picked up her bag and walked towards the door. Just him. An undergraduate can't meet the requirements of a formal lawyer in the company. The personnel sitting opposite me nodded frantically. Suddenly, Hailey remembered something again and turned back and pointed at the trash can to me. "Senior brother, please take out the trash." "Thank you." After saying that, she returned to her office in her red-bottomed shoes. Looking at my resume in the trash can, I couldn't help laughing angrily. Now I finally understand why this law firm requires applicants to write about their emotional experiences. I thought it was to test one's character. Unexpectedly, "Mr. Rockey, don't take it to heart. Boss Hailey was dumped by a scumbag once. Your emotional experience on the resume is not so good either, so she may be hostile to you." The HR handed me a glass of water and tried to ease the atmosphere. I thanked him and got up to pick out my resume from the trash can. I know that she is not hostile to scumbags, but to me. So, as an intern lawyer, I am completely Hailey's errand assistant. My workstation is right in front of her office. Every time she enters or exits, I am the first to notice. In addition, every time she has something going on, she also calls me first. "Rockey, my dog is constipated. Take it to the hospital." Hailey suddenly came out of the office and threw me a set of car keys and an address. I looked as usual and was about to go out with my coat. Several colleagues pulled me one after another and advised me not to go. "Brother Rockey, how did you offend Boss Hailey? Can you really endure this?" "That's right. Last time when you bought 30 cups of coffee," Brother Rockey's hands turned purple, "you were also mistaken for the cleaning staff and cleaned the entire 23rd floor." I shook my head and motioned for them to be quiet. "Don't talk nonsense. Boss Hailey is testing me. After all, I am her assistant." Seeing that I was willing to bear hardships without complaint, they stopped talking and only sighed and wished me good luck. In fact, there is no such thing as good or bad luck. I did offend Hailey, and as early as in college, I had offended her thoroughly. After all, it was I who dumped her. When I first entered college as a freshman, Hailey became famous for punishing the underwear thief. Therefore, she joined the debate club. Wearing a yellowed white shirt, she spoke eloquently as the first debater and won countless championships. With her sentence, "The third debater on the opposite side, I like you. Are you happy at this moment?" she left me, the president, speechless. It was at that time that I noticed her. I like the way she talks eloquently and shines in her field of expertise. She is beautiful with confidence, but also beautiful with inferiority. Her name is prominently on the list of poor student subsidies. The next day, the news that Hailey was a poor student spread throughout the school. Those who didn't like her ridiculed her. Moreover, they spread rumors about her bold speech in the debate club, saying that she was trying to attract the attention of rich people. Verbal violence in school is no less than physical violence. Gossip is like an abyss for a girl. I saw her hiding alone by a tree behind the playground and crying on that side. "Why don't you pay my tuition anymore? Why use my tuition money to buy a house for my brother?" I don't know what was said on the other end of the phone. Perhaps they refused her, but as if I was possessed, I walked to her side without thinking. "Hailey, my mom is urging me to fall in love. Be my girlfriend, and I'll help you solve your tuition problem." As soon as I said it, I regretted it. These stupid words couldn't be said without 5 years of mental illness. Hailey's answer to me was of course crazy. Her reaction was expected. If she was with me, it would confirm those rumors. So, I sued all the forum accounts that spread rumors about her. Later, I waited on the road where she got off work from her part-time job with 99 roses. "Hailey, I have nothing but some money. Consider me?" That day, it was the first time I held her hand. In the following 3 years, I took full responsibility for her tuition and living expenses. She also tried her best to play the role of a girlfriend. She talked enthusiastically on the phone with my mom and put on an affectionate show in front of others, but only I know that she would secretly write down those amounts in a notebook every time. I know that she may not love me, but I still bought a diamond ring. I want to see that stone on her slender fingers, not on anyone else's. I thought I could have her for a few more days, but my dad died. He couldn't bear the blow of investment failure and jumped from the 23rd floor. My mom was driven insane by the debt collectors and committed suicide by taking medicine. That year, I had just gone abroad. The deaths of my parents and the high tuition fees weighed me down. In the second month of my graduate studies, I suffered from depression and dropped out. I had insomnia, started self-harming, and had a terrible temper. I lay in the bathtub and tried to drown myself, but I was a coward. So, I cut off contact with everyone, including Hailey, until half a year ago, when I recovered from my illness. I returned to this New Yorkin. In these months, I interviewed at many law firms, but they all rejected me because of my age and education. In the only law firm, the interviewer was actually her. It was actually her. I parked the car in front of Hailey's house and couldn't help laughing, but soon I couldn't laugh anymore, because the one who opened the door for me was a man, and it was the man I hated the most. "Yo, senior brother. Long time no see." Tony spoke to me playfully. I responded faintly and explained my purpose. "I'm taking the dog to the hospital." "Senior brother, wait a moment. I'll go and pack up." Saying that, he went upstairs. When he came down again, he was carrying a pet carrier in his hand and was on the phone with a gentle tone. "Wife, I've said it. I'm fine at home. I can take our son to the hospital. You still trouble senior brother to come here." I was shocked and looked up abruptly. The diamond ring on Tony's ring finger seemed to be mocking me. "Look, you lost your wife." Hailey in college was stunning, and I wasn't her only admirer. Tony was my fiercest rival. I remember Hailey rejecting him, saying, "I don't like guys who are dumber than me. Maybe try again when you catch up." I never expected they would end up married. A pang of bitterness hit me, like a thorn in my throat. "Let's go to the vet together," Tony suggested. I nodded. Tony was chatty, reminiscing about old times. "If I'd known you were back, I would have saved you some wedding candy." Hailey was a goddess back then. I can't believe a toad like me ended up married to her. He pulled out a wedding photo, holding it up for me to see. I didn't even glance, offering a flat "Congratulations." Tony smiled, putting his phone away and turning back to me. "Why do you look so unhappy?" I forced a smile that was more painful than crying. "I'm car sick." "Oh, then I won't talk." I was just relieved the steering wheel wasn't a gun. Otherwise, I might have shot him. By the time we reached the vet, it was 6, and Hailey was waving at us. Actually, she was waving at Tony. "Honey, you're so slow." She took the dog from him. After a moment, she turned to me. "Rocky, I just became a director. We're having a gathering tonight at a late-night bar. You're welcome to join." Tony chuckled. "Honey, you should introduce us. It would have been awkward otherwise." I stayed silent. Hailey linked her arm with Tony's, smiling sweetly at me. "Tony, my husband." I didn't respond, just glanced at my watch and returned her keys. "Hailey, my shift is over. I have things to do, so I'll leave you too." In that moment, I understood what it meant to be a real man. Never look back. I felt a twinge of jealousy, but it wasn't why I was leaving. I had promises to keep. After months of job hunting, I was now part-time, waiting tables at a bar thanks to Alice, who had taken me in. With 2 months left until my deadline, Hailey was shocked to see me cleaning toilets. "Rocky, are you out of your mind?" I looked up. "Hailey, can I work here?" Furious, she pulled me aside into an empty booth. "Rocky, have you lost your mind?" A top law student scrubbing toilets. I gently shook her hand. "Hailey, your husband is outside. This isn't right." She was momentarily speechless, awkwardly letting go. "I just don't want to see you like this." Her tone softened, but I couldn't stay. I was afraid I'd hug her, yet she was married and I had nothing. So, I chose to run away, but she slammed the door shut. "Rocky, are you trying to escape again?" Her eyes were red, like a wounded rabbit. She was even more beautiful now, with a newfound resilience. "I thought you were gone. Is disappearing fun? Is leaving without a word fun?" I took a few steps back, unable to meet her gaze. After a moment under her persistent stare, I reluctantly spoke. "My dad died. We're not related anymore." She trembled, punching my arm. "You really think I was with you for the money? You're something else, Rocky." "Hailey, wasn't it all fake from the start?" Hailey fell silent. I also stopped talking, sitting on the couch and lighting a cigarette. She sat beside me, and once I finished, she finally spoke, as if making a decision. "Rocky, let me spend on you." I scoffed, extinguishing the cigarette. Hailey, you seem to forget you're married. Before she could finish, the door swung open and a strong scent of perfume rushed in. Rocky, I was wondering where you were. I stood up, pulling the woman close. Hailey, this is my girlfriend, Alice. Alice, this is my boss, Hailey. We were just discussing work. Alice extended her hand. So, this is the little junior you always mention? A career woman, huh? Thanks for giving Rocky a chance. Hailey's face turned cold. She didn't respond or shake hands. She walked straight out of the booth. Alice sat beside me, lighting a cigarette with ease. Oh, Rocky, are you smoking now? Hailey hated men who smoked. I waved my hand to disperse the smoke. Thanks, Alice. Alice looked puzzled. Why not just win her back? I shrugged. Forget it. Alice extinguished her cigarette, kicking me lightly. So, what was all that effort for? Self-indulgence? During those years of depression, I held on to that photo of Hailey and me. Finally, I couldn't resist and returned to a city one night. I watched her every day like a voyeur. She learned to drink, getting drunk at a bar called Midnight. I couldn't return to the dorm, so I spent the night watching her in class. Eventually, I worked there to pay off debts. My boss, Alice, kindly advanced me 6 months' salary for treatment and medication. With some of that money, I bought Hailey a graduation gift. Alice was right. It was all my one-sided wish. I wanted to ease my guilt. Rocky, I know you might feel unworthy, but have you considered she might not care? I smiled bitterly, but she's married now. After saying that, I left the booth. The bar buzzed with people drowning their worries in alcohol. Rocky, there you are. We've been looking for you. Colleague Jack exclaimed upon seeing me. Hailey's drunk and won't let anyone near. She insisted on calling you. I followed his finger to find Hailey standing on a booth, waving, surrounded by a circle of people making sure she wouldn't fall. Got it. I said this and rushed over. Come down, okay? I reached out to Hailey. She looked at me with a pout. Rocky, you liar. You said you'd let me spend your money. I stopped arguing, lifting her onto my back and leaving the bar. My colleagues gaped, shocked by the sight. I placed Hailey in her car, fastening her seatbelt, but her hands were restless, roaming over me. Rocky, you don't understand. You know nothing. You're beautiful and fit. It's not just about money. Then she suddenly vomited all over me. I couldn't help but laugh at her antics. Hailey, where's the toilet paper? All I got in response was her steady breathing. Desperately, I rummaged through the glove compartment and stumbled upon a shocking agreement. I'm shaking as I open it. To avoid problems with workplace relationships and position changes, Party A Hailey hereby signs this marriage agreement with Party B Tony. The agreement stipulates that Party A and Party B become legal spouses, but do not engage in marital relations. Party A will pay Party B $10,000 per month as a labor fee. Both parties shall not interfere in each other's lives. So she and Tony are in a fake marriage. It's actually a fake marriage. I even lied to her that I had a girlfriend, which is why she got so drunk. Looking at Hailey's sleeping face, with a few tears hanging on her trembling eyelashes, my heart aches unbearably. Hailey, I'm sorry. I gently touch her face and speak slowly. It seems she heard my apology, and her breathing gradually stabilizes. I take out my phone and dial Tony's number. Brother, is there something urgent to call me this late? Hailey is drunk. Come pick her up. Tony gasps, then decisively hangs up. Less than 10 minutes later, he knocks on my car window. You're here. I'll leave first. With that, I place the car keys on the vehicle. Tony stops me. Brother, your clothes? I fall silent. Is that Hailey's vomit? I nod. He immediately grabs my hand, repeatedly apologizing. Sorry, brother. My wife caused you trouble. Even though I feel uncomfortable hearing him call Hailey that, I hold it in for her sake. It's fine. Just take good care of her. Yeah, I'll make her some beef bone soup to help with the hangover. I stare at him for a while. Make it chicken soup. She's allergic to beef. Tony pauses, a little embarrassed, and says, I know, then drives away from my sight. The next day at work, everyone looks at me with curiosity. My colleague Jack comes over. Rocky, what's your relationship with boss Hailey? Just as I'm about to speak, Hailey issues a command from the office. Rocky, come with me to meet a client. I shrug, grab my briefcase, and follow her out of the company. We tacitly avoid mentioning what happened yesterday. Since the client's divorce case involves a significant amount of money, we spend almost the entire afternoon organizing financial reports. By the time I look up from the piles of documents, it's already 10 at night. Let's stop here for today. Good job, Lawyer Rocky. Hailey organizes the last document in her hands, grabs her bag, and prepares to leave. I clutch my stomach, struggling to speak. Okay. She notices my pale face and asks, Are you okay? I nod. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. You can go first. I watch her frown slightly, feeling a flicker of expectation in my heart. A few minutes later, the sound of Hailey's high heels grows fainter. As expected, the stomach pain is really unbearable, especially especially the cramping sensation coming in waves. I squat down, trying to find a comfortable position. About 10 minutes later, Hailey places a bowl of kanji in front of me. Drink this quickly, don't actually die. Seeing Hailey come back again, I can't help but smile. Boss Hailey, you're still the same as in college, tough on the outside but soft on the inside. I had worked so hard to win her over, yet she always kept her distance from me. We've never even been intimate as a couple, and of course, I wouldn't force her. Until one time, my roommate showed off how his girlfriend wears the necklace he gave her every day. That's when I realized my feelings for Hailey were all one-sided. I'm shaking as I ask my first question. Hailey, why don't you wear the things I gave you? As expected, she brushes it off. I'm busy with school and work. It's inconvenient to carry them. I respond with a slight, She's lying. She just doesn't want to feel indebted to me. But then on my birthday, she wore the necklace and ring I gave her. She gave me a light kiss on the lips. Rocky, happy birthday. It felt like she held a string of a kite, pulling me along as I floated away. Looking back now, she might have tried to like me then. Don't overthink it. I'm just afraid of the risk. If you die, I'd be ruined. Hailey interrupts my thoughts and shoves a spoon into my hand. I force myself to finish the kanji, and my stomach does feel better. Hailey, could you call a car for me? Hailey grabs my things with a tone that leaves no room for refusal. Enough chatter. I'll take you home. She skillfully unlocks my door and then awkwardly explains, Cough, I'm just used to it. I smile lightly and place a pair of pink slippers in front of her. Change shoes. She murmurs but doesn't move. I suddenly realize she thinks I want her to wear Alice's slippers. So I explain, these slippers have never been worn. Only then does she reluctantly step inside. I pour her a glass of water to ease her awkwardness. You've been to my place before, so why are you so nervous now? She replies defiantly, Who's nervous? I'm just worried about your girlfriend coming home. It'll be hard to explain. I meet her gaze and swallow hard. Hailey, I actually don't have a girlfriend. Alice isn't my girlfriend. Hailey doesn't respond. When she looks up again, her eyes are brimming with tears. In a trembling voice, she demands an answer. Why did you leave without saying anything? I lower my eyes. I didn't dare face reality. Hailey sets down the glass and squats in front of me. You're lying. You just don't believe me. You think I'm with you for the money, that I wouldn't choose you steadfastly. Her voice grows quieter and she begins to sob softly. You believe what you want. Why didn't you just ask me? She softly explains everything. I got married, but when I was promoted, a boss wanted to keep me as his mistress, promising to make me a partner if I agreed. I refused him and confronted him during a high-level meeting. To make things difficult for me, he and other male executives set a rule. Unmarried women cannot become partners. My heart aches. I can't imagine the pressure and darkness she faced under such workplace oppression. I can't fathom how she fought through it all. She must have had it so tough. So that's why you had to marry Tony? She nods silently. I pull her into my arms, repeatedly saying, I'm sorry. Suddenly, she pushes me down, kissing my face wildly. Tears and her kisses intertwine. The scent of hormones fills the air. I can't help but hold her tightly, murmuring her name. Hailey, let's get back together. Before Hailey can respond, the doorbell rings. Tony stands at the door with his arms crossed. Hailey, it's time to go home. Hailey came out of the bathroom looking tidy. I called out to her, Hailey. She turned back and smiled at me. It's fine. Before she could finish, Tony urged her to get in the car. I didn't know what had happened between them, but the next day, Tony invited me out. When I arrived, there were already several empty bottles in front of him. Bro, you have no idea. After you disappeared, every time Hailey missed you, she'd come to this bar to get drunk. I took a sip of my drink, waiting for more. The crazy part is, there's a salesperson here who looks just like you. Damn, I never thought you'd come back. Why are you even here? I looked him in the eye and said seriously, give Hailey back to me. Hearing this, Tony grabbed a glass and smashed it on the floor, shards exploding at my feet. Do you know Hailey gave up her chance for graduate school out of province to find you? Do you know she finally got into grad school, then gave up her exchange opportunity? All because she was afraid you'd come back and not find her if she left. I was the one who helped her get into grad school. I stayed in New York for her career, and now you want me to give her back to you? Why should I? I wasn't angry. I just finished a bottle of beer. After a while, I finally looked up and spoke. Because she loves me. Because I was there for her during the toughest times in college. I wasn't joking. Hailey's brother was addicted to gambling, selling everything at home. Their parents heard about Hailey dating a rich guy and started asking her for money. But Hailey had no money. She never took a cent from me. Her parents threatened to cause a scene at school. I gave her parents $50,000 to help her cut ties with them. Tony was crying. It was the first time I saw this once equal friend of mine sobbing uncontrollably. He grabbed my hand, repeatedly confirming, "Bro, you're really not just back out of guilt? You really like her? I'm afraid you'll leave her again," making her anxious every day, hiding her fears behind a strong facade. I took out the diamond ring from my pocket and placed it on the table. This was bought in her junior year. I intended to propose, but then my dad died, and I was left with a mountain of debt. I couldn't marry her. Honestly, I really appreciate you. Tony finished his beer, took out his phone, and slammed it on the table. The screen showed a call duration of an hour with backup baby. "Hailey, I've confirmed it. Let's go get the divorce paperwork done tomorrow." He hung up, unsteadily got up, and left. I was shocked that he could go this far. I felt a bit more respect for him, so I said, "Let me give you a ride." But he waved me off and disappeared into the night. I pulled out my phone and called Alice. "Alice, I've come clean with Hailey." She sounded very happy on the other end. "Really? I need to explain what happened that day to my sister-in-law. Let's do it tomorrow." I set the restaurant and time, then sent the info to Hailey. But I never expected this meeting would sow such hidden troubles for Hailey. Alice, being straightforward, quickly told others about our reconciliation. Some marketing accounts used our story, and someone found my contact to leave a message. "Actually, your father's investment didn't have to fail." I stared at the short message on the board, my heart racing. "What do you mean?" The reply came quickly, 5 p.m. tomorrow. See you at the bar. I didn't know this person's intentions, but my father's death had always been my unresolved issue. "Lawyer Rockey." A woman waved at me, then took off her sunglasses and handed me a file. "See for yourself?" I couldn't help but flip through it. The person in the photos was someone I knew all too well, Hailey from college. I set the photo down, coldly asking, "What does this mean?" She chuckled softly. "You know she tutored in college, but do you know who she tutored?" I didn't answer because I feared hurting Hailey's pride, so I never asked about her part-time jobs. "The daughter of the boss from the company your dad invested in that failed." Her voice was like a dark spell, exploding in my ears. "You can't be unaware of why your father's investment failed, right?" I knew all too well. Due to errors in research, the board member of the company my dad was investing in had an affair, causing their stock to plummet and my dad's funding to collapse. In the end, my dad borrowed money everywhere but couldn't turn back. Millions in loans weighed him down, and he jumped. I looked at her coldly. "What does this have to do with Hailey?" She pulled out another photo from her bag, showing a man and woman. "This is the board member and his mistress. This photo was taken by Hailey. If she had told you then, would your father have invested and jumped? Or maybe the affair was leaked by her?" This woman was like a venomous snake, staring at me like prey, sending chills down my spine. "What do you want?" She smiled, handing me the photos. "I just want you to see Hailey's true nature. She's always been selfish. You were kind to her, but to her, it was just charity, a trampling of her dignity. Now that you're down, she feels the same." I clenched my cup, instantly denying it. "Impossible. Hailey isn't like that. What's your scheme in sowing discord?" She didn't answer, but put on her sunglasses and patted my shoulder. "Is that so? Then why not ask her yourself? You'll come back to me." Saying this, she shoved a business card into my hand. "Hailey's sworn enemy, top lawyer, Serena." I pushed open the door at home to find Hailey had made a feast. Seeing me back, she waved. "I made porridge today. Drink some. It's good for your stomach." "Okay, I'll wash my hands." The atmosphere at the dining table was awkward. She chattered on about work, how she fought hard for her partnership, but I wasn't in the mood to listen. Hailey spoke up. "Aren't you happy we're back together?" I hesitated, setting down my spoon. "Do you hate me?" Her shocked expression confirmed my guess. "What are you talking about?" I placed the photos in front of her. "You knew my dad cheated. Why didn't you tell me? If you had told me, my dad wouldn't have died." "Hailey, do you enjoy punishing me like this?" She opened her mouth to explain but made no sound. I stood, grabbing her wrist and tossing her bag out the door. Despite her tears, I remained unmoved. "You signed a fake marriage contract for your career, just like you coldly watched my dad die." "Hailey, you're so selfish." That was the last thing I said before closing the door. She slapped me hard. I should have realized she only felt disgust for me. She is a proud daughter of heaven, but I foolishly attempt to trap her by my side. Giving me a job, the ambiguous atmosphere in the bar, and the porridge when I have a stomachache are all just enjoying the thrill of control. Just like before, now it's her turn to spend money on me. I dialed Serena's number, but couldn't say a single word. There was a hint of smugness in Serena's tone. "Lawyer Rockey, I was right, wasn't I? Be my ally. What do you want to do?" A fierce voice of a woman came from the other end of the phone. "Make her lose everything." I drank a glass of water and spoke hoarsely. "Okay." The next day, I handed in a resignation letter to Hailey in front of everyone. "Lawyer Lawyer Hailey, sorry. Without even looking up, she quickly signed it. She didn't even speak. Well, now she doesn't even want to talk to me anymore. I didn't bother myself anymore and gently closed the door of her office. In the bar, I placed the marriage contract in front of Serena. She reached out to read it, but I stopped her. I'd rather hear why you are so cruel to Hailey. The smile in Serena's eyes instantly disappeared a bit. Let me guess, is it because she took away your partner qualification? That's right. Serena didn't hide her anger at all. As a senior lawyer, she successfully became a partner with a marriage. While I can only continue to endure in this position, I looked at her in confusion. How do you know she had a fake marriage? Hee. Before I changed jobs, I installed bugs in some places. I was amused. This is illegal, don't you know? She looked indifferent. Who would know that I installed it? Where's the evidence? I shrugged, showed an admiring expression to her, and then raised my glass. Happy cooperation. She drank a mojito and took the file and disappeared into the crowd. Rocky, open the door for me. Damn it. I opened the door sleepily and was then punched to the ground. Damn it, I'll beat you to death. I was pressed under Tony and received his violent attacks. I had no strength to fight back at all. When he was tired from beating, I was already in so much pain that I couldn't get up. Tony, are you crazy? You are the crazy one. Saying that, he handed me his phone. Hailey's name was prominently on the hot search. Hailey's fake marriage. Hailey's fraud. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth. Don't worry about this matter. Tony looked at me in disbelief. Only the three of us, you, Hailey, and I, know about the agreement. No one else would tell except you. What did you promise me? I was annoyed by his shouting and directly pushed him out of the door. Tony doesn't understand anything. The public opinion on the internet has pushed Hailey to the forefront. There are a flood of insults under her blog. Can such a person be a lawyer? In the morning, she is careless with people's lives. In the afternoon, she is bent on favoritism. I don't need to go to court anymore. I might as well just die. Her parents even pretended to cry on the internet, saying that they didn't educate Hailey well. Hailey has always been strong-willed since she was a child and loves to lie. In college, she often cheated our hard-earned money to eat, drink, and have fun. That's why we cut off her living expenses and broke off our relationship with her. Without guessing, one can know that this is Serena's doing. She really wants to put Hailey to death. The company where Hailey works has canceled her partner qualification and sued her in court. When I saw these messages, Serena was inviting me to testify in court. After all, a person close to her knows so much. Serena, you really are quiet until you make a big splash. Thanks for the compliment. Then the matter of testifying in court is settled. After it's done, Jingxing Law Firm will give you 3 times your legal fee as compensation. I nodded to show her that it was okay. Hailey, this grand drama is about to begin. On the day of the trial, all the prominent media set up their cameras to observe. Hailey stood in the defendant's seat, her face pale. She looked as fragile as a stem swaying in a storm, which made my heart ache. Hailey, do you have any objections to the evidence? Hailey replied calmly, I don't recognize the authenticity of the evidence produced unilaterally by the other party. Serena requested the witness to take the stand. I slowly walked out from behind the court. All eyes turned to me. I took a deep breath. I testify that Hailey was in a fake marriage. Everyone gasped. The camera flashes disoriented me, and the judge banged the gavel for silence. But that was an emotional fake marriage, not a legal one. She did marry Tony, but as for their relationship, I believe it's not harmonious. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a marriage contract. I smiled at Hailey, and she returned the smile. Serena's once confident grin froze on her face. When Tony took the stand as a witness, he held up the marriage certificate. Your Honor, my wife and I are legally recognized as a married couple, and although we are divorced, the previous legitimacy is still acknowledged. He then pulled out a recording. Suddenly, the entire hall echoed with Serena's voice. Before I switched jobs, I planted some listening devices. Who would know it was me? Evidence? Hailey spoke calmly. Serena infringed upon my privacy with illegal actions. I request to file a lawsuit in court. Serena's face turned a myriad of colors, her eyes shooting flames at me. I couldn't help but laugh. Did you really think I'd doubt my wife over some trivial matter? Hailey stumbled upon the truth during her part-time job, and she took photos to tell me. But she didn't know my dad had already jumped. And as a woman, you shouldn't blame her. You should blame the unfair workplace. When the verdict was announced, the reporters below were in an uproar. Serena was left speechless. Hailey won completely. I, the jerk, should have been the one condemned. Yet now she had turned the tables. No one saw this twist coming. She was surrounded by microphones at the court entrance. Tony tried to pull Hailey out, but I stopped him. This is the real highlight of today. The earlier events were just the setup. Hailey, even if you win, it doesn't change the fact that you became a partner under the guise of marriage. What do you have to say about about that. Hailey, doesn't your conscience hurt? We all awaited her response. Hailey smiled gently, her tone exuding feminine wisdom and intellect. Who decided that a woman can only become a director through marriage? Why? That simple question left the reporter speechless, just like I had been. I admit I used some means, and I apologize to Jingqing. But why don't you see the unfriendliness of workplace norms toward women? Saying this, she pulled out her phone and posted the video of her confrontation with upper management on Blog. It instantly attracted massive attention. Some men use their professional advantages to insult and violate women, while the workplace turns a blind eye. Why should I adhere to such unfair rules? Pregnant women get fired, just like women can only be promoted if they're married. Why can't men face the same standards? The reporters fell silent, trying to change the topic to end the awkwardness. Even if you believe you're right, your reputation in the industry is ruined. Which firm would want you after leaving Jingqing? I don't need any firm to want me. I have the ability and the brains. I can work for myself. I'm willing to tear a crack in this dark place to let even a sliver of light shine through. In a simple white shirt, she stood above the crowd, speaking confidently. Unlike before, she no longer felt inferior to her beauty. She wouldn't self-sabotage for mistakes that weren't hers. This version of Hailey shone even brighter. I couldn't help but push through the crowd to reach her. This time she didn't reject me. She took my hand and ran to me. Aren't you afraid I'll betray you? She pulled out a bank card and placed it in my hand. Not at all. Just like you never doubted me. I knew this card was a goodbye to the past. The present Hailey and I were ready to start anew. So, I willingly accepted my defeat in that debate. If she were to ask me again, opposing third speaker, I like you. Are you happy right now? I would answer without hesitation, happy, because being chosen firmly by someone is indeed a blessing in life. I don't understand why my goddess can't forget that scumbag. What's so good about him? He just has some stinky money, is handsome, and is always number one. Apart from these, he is a man without responsibility. After taking the initiative to flirt, he actually ran away, making the goddess stay in this small and shabby New York and go nowhere else. I feel very sorry for Hailey. She is so tired. In order to not think about her feelings, she immerses herself in academics. She is soaked in plans and on-site every day, taking notes, doing internships, and even being a volunteer and picking up trash every day. I asked her if she was short of money. She actually said that she was afraid that Rockey would be homeless and sleep on the street. I was amused by her. Fortunately, she is very hardworking. She has studied for graduate school all the way and become a director. And I have also been successfully chosen by the goddess and become her nominal husband. You may think I am a licking dog, but I only care about whether she is happy. It is enough for people to have each other for a moment, isn't it? But I am a bit greedy. I want the days to go on like this and live like this for a lifetime. That would be very good too. But he came back. I have never seen Hailey so excited. She took the initiative to call me for the first time ever. The first sentence she said was to tell me, "Tony, do you know? Rockey is back." Of course I know. A month ago, I saw him in a bar. Rockey entered her company and became her assistant. Every day she is enthusiastically discussing with me how to bully Rockey tomorrow. I asked her if she still loves him, but she said coldly that she didn't. I am already used to her saying one thing but meaning another, just like that year when she found me and wanted a fake marriage. It doesn't matter. I don't think Hailey will give up her career, but I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I never understood Hailey and didn't know what she wanted. I showed my cards to Rockey. I gave Hailey back to him. After all, I am an outsider. The later incident once again proved how ridiculous I am. I asked Hailey how she knew that Rockey was acting. She replied with a faint smile, "That year, as soon as I got the photo, I sent it to Rockey." Rockey carefully poured another cup of water for Hailey. "Blame me for being a scumbag. I had deleted her at that time." I looked at them in surprise and then understood. This is a trap to invite the enemy in. It is also a testimony of their unity as a couple. And all of this is to solve the consequences brought about by the fake contract and fulfill Hailey's dream. After Rockey got the photo, the first thing he did was not to suspect and quarrel, but to listen patiently to Hailey's explanation. That breakup drama was a show for Serena after they let go and discussed. I was still stupid enough to give Rockey a beating. "Tony, thanks to you beating me up. Otherwise, Serena wouldn't believe that we have fallen out." I gave a wry smile and took a sip to ease the embarrassment. Everyone thinks I am a show-off, but I understand everything. I just pretend not to understand. After all, being too awake is a bit cruel for me. Later, Hailey opened her own law firm. In Hailey's company, women can take paid maternity leave and freely run for partner without being bound by marriage. Then, I left New York. But unlike that scumbag, I know how to say goodbye. This house will be regarded as my wedding gift to you. So, Hailey, goodbye, and may we never meet again. The end. If you like Kitten's story, please follow and like it. Updated every every morning at 9 a.m.